Hey everybody, me and Dean back at you with another video, and today we are starting episode 2 of Extravagant and Excellent, our companion series to Cheap and Cheerful. And so this is the expensive stuff. This is not extraordinarily expensive. I bought this particular bottle off marqueewine.com. I think it was $68.47 Canadian before taxes and shipping and that stuff. So what we have here is 2012 Lungarati Montefalco Sagrantino. What is that, you say? Lungarati is the winery. Montefalco is the village in Umbria, the region, it's Umbria in Italy. Sagrantino is the grape. It is a well-regarded grape in Italy, but a very rare one. You don't see a whole lot of it. It basically only grows in Umbria. It is, by all accounts, look, I had to look this up on the internet before I did this video, because what I know about Sagrantino you could put on the head of a pin. But I did know when I bought it that it was meant to be aged at least a decade, as it is, and maybe more. And also it needs time. All the information I see says that aerate it and decant it for at least an hour. So I did aerate it. It's been decanting for maybe 15 minutes. We'll see. It's a big boy. Very high tannins. Very astringent, apparently. And you're supposed to pair it with something really fatty. I'm having steak tonight, so I'm going to pair it with steak. Although I'm not having a fatty steak, I'm having filet mignon. So that may not be a great pair. We'll see. But I also do have. It also says to pair it with some aged cheeses, and I have some extra aged Gouda in there. If it doesn't work well with the steak, I'll pull out the cheeses and we'll see. So, like I said, $68.49 or something like that. And I bought it. I don't remember why I bought it exactly. I think I was watching a TV show. It was something on Som TV, maybe, or maybe it was Stanley Tucci's Taste of Italy. Anyway, one of them went to Umbria and I mentioned this grape, which I'd never heard of, and I just like to try new things. So I went on, as I was doing an order from Marquee Wine Cellars, I thought I would just check it out. And but I probably had it here for 6 months or so in my fridges. Okay, so right off the bat, the first thing I get is black plum, licorice. I don't know what kind of glass to use for this either. I'm using an Old World Pinot Noir glass because all I could find was it said use a wide glass. So I don't have a Sagrantino glass up there. Who does? Okay, I'm trying to cook something out because it's not really expressive on the nose right now, at least. Maybe it needs a little more time still, but... Oh, a little bit of dried rosemary. No, not fresh rosemary. So what did I say? Plum, licorice, rosemary. A little blackberry. A tiny bit of black pepper. Okay. It's getting there. Sit here and swirl it long enough, it will eventually smell like something, right? I hope. Alright, let's taste it. So I don't know what this is going to be like. It's going to be tannic, I assume. Let's find out. Woohoo! Yes. That is tannic. Although, I've had worse. Acidity's medium plus. Tannins are medium plus to high. Viscosity's medium plus maybe. Interesting. So now, I guess I had a bigger sip. Now the tannins, you don't get that feeling on the top gum, your top gum, that something's almost digging at it. I don't mean that not hurting you, but the wine's almost like the tannins are so high. So they're definitely high. Yeah, this isn't a wine you're just going to open on the patio for kicks. Flavors kind of mirror the nose. little bit of black olive there as well, black plum, blackberry. There's a tiny hint of iodine, maybe. Rosemary. Medium finish. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. If I had to rate this right now, I would say I wouldn't recommend this necessarily, but I want to try it with the food. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go have this wine with my food. And I will come back, and before I introduce the second wine and go on that, I will give a recap of how this is with food, because it's supposed to be a food wine. It's supposed to be served with something big and fatty. On the back here it says ideal with game, either roasted or in civet, C-I-V-E-T, civet, and aged cheeses. Serve at 16 to 18 degrees, which I think I probably have it at the right temperature. Okay, so we're back. I've got wine number 2 here, but first let's go back to last night's Sagrantino. I told you I was going to have it. Oh, got another guest star. Dog has decided I was going to do the video with her outside, and she was having none of that. So the Sagrantino, we had it with our steak, which was a cocoa and black pepper rubbed filet mignon. Beautiful steak. Recipe I've had a few times. It was delicious. Accompanied with some caramelized shallots and roasted vegetables. It was delicious. But did the wine work with it? Not that much. You know, as I said at the start of the video, Sagrantino is a grape that is incredibly tannic and it's supposed to be paired with a nice fatty meat. And I paired it with the leanest steak you can, because that's what I like. We're filet people. We like our steaks lean. Nothing wrong with a good ribeye from time to time, but we don't eat a lot of that. We eat filet. So, she's a big fan of filet. Aren't you? Actually, you're just a big fan of meat. You don't really care. She's not that picky. She's less picky than we are. I should buy sirloin steaks for her. Anyway, so it didn't go great. The filet didn't really cut through the tannins much. So then I pulled out some old cheeses. I had some extra aged Gouda and some aged Parmesan Reggiano. And the Gouda was the best of the 3 food items with the Sagrantino, but it didn't really make a huge difference. Some difference, not a huge difference. The Parmesan didn't go at all. So ultimately, do I recommend the Sagrantino? I'm going to say maybe. I think it has to be a very specific set of circumstances. I think you've got to be adventurous. You want to try something you've never had before. I bet you've never had Sagrantino before. And you want to pair it with a big fatty steak, or you know, short ribs maybe. Short ribs are really fatty, right? Any really fatty meat, ribeye, anything like that would probably cut through the tannins and be a nice pairing. I would give the Sagrantino more time. Maybe the one I had last night, of course, was 10 years old. I would go even 15, so I would hang on to them. And maybe you'd really enjoy it. So, will I be rebuying that wine? I won't, probably. It just doesn't really match what I'm looking for. But it was certainly not a bad wine. It was perfectly good. I think I 89 points, which is a good score. 89 points is a good wine, but for $65, I would not go back to that one. So, wine number 2, here we go. We've upped the game a little bit here. We are at the Chateau de Beaucastel, 2017 Chateauneuf-du-Pape. This is generally regarded, I think, as the king of Chateauneuf-du-Pape. This particular winery, and a lot of people consider this one of the great wines of France, and it's pretty affordable for great wines of France. I paid $86, I think, for this when I bought it a couple years ago. Current vintage at the BC liquor stores will cost you $105.99. So the prices have gone up like everything else has, but still, you know, $100. I realize $100 a bottle is expensive, but compare that to what you get for $100 from, you know, Burgundy or Bordeaux. I mean, Burgundy, geez, can you get anything for $100 that's drinkable? I guess you can, but tough to find. You certainly don't get high-end Burgundy for $100. You don't get the high-end Bordeaux. I mean, first growth Bordeaux is, I don't know, $50, $100 a bottle or more. So for $100 you might get 7th growth Bordeaux, which is still probably pretty good. But, you know, but for $100 here you're getting one of the most iconic Chateauneuf-du-Papes. So, if you don't know what that is, Chateauneuf-du-Pape is a region in the southern Rhone. It'll be generally a GSM blend, Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. This is and there's actually like 25, or I can't remember how many grapes are you're allowed to put in there. This one's a blend of, I think, I actually added it up, I think it was like 11 grapes. Grenache, Mourvedre, Syrah, and then a few that I've never heard of, and a few white grapes, Picpoul and a Marsanne, I think, or Roussanne, I think. And so, but there's a list of 25 or 26 grapes I think that you're allowed to use in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. But obviously there's much more. The GSM is the common ones. So, 2017, I aerated this and I decanted it. It's been decanting for about 40-ish minutes, I'm going to say. Because this is a wine that can go forever. I looked up... Sorry, I'm going to need a minute. I looked up some suggestions on serving, when this would be good, and I didn't find anything on the internet to suggest that any of the experts thought this wouldn't be ready yet. It'll get better if I age it longer, but I've never actually had this wine before. We've become fans of the Southern Rhone and Chateauneuf-du-Pape quite a bit in the last couple of years, but I've never had this one. I bought a bottle of this, like I said, I think 2 years ago at the Bordeaux release. When I bought some Bordeaux, they happened to have some of this. Again, $86. Not cheap then, but boy, it seems pretty good now. Given that it's $20 cheaper than the current vintages. This was a good vintage, but not a spectacular vintage, I don't think, in the Southern Rhone. But I'm expecting to really enjoy this. And I should drink it fast because the wife's actually having a nap right now. If I could drink it, I could make it disappear. She won't even know it was ever here. I wouldn't do that. Okay, alright. Alright, so what do we got here? We've got, I actually over poured myself a little bit. I want to be able to swirl a little more. There we are, right? Okay. Everything. It smells like everything. But I don't even want to drink it because I can't possibly taste as good as it smells. Blackberry, raspberry, strawberry, dried thyme, dried rosemary, black pepper, I could go on. What are you doing exactly? Are you chewing on something? You don't destroy. Oh, she just nipped my finger. Stop. Stop. I'm gonna take you out, and you can just whine at the door. All right. Let's see if it tastes as good as. Oh my God, it smells so good. All right. Let's find out. This is why I do this. This is why I spend $100 on a bottle of wine. This is why I have a collection. This is why we spend a reasonably large portion of our disposable income on this hobby. Some people call this a hobby. It's funny because, there's lots of hobbies out there, right? We spend a lot of money. I collected comic books when I was a kid. Collected hockey cards at some point. This is the only hobby where, like, every month you burn a third of your collection, right? And then have to go rebuy new stuff. Imagine if you were a hockey card collector, and every month, you had to take 30% of your cards randomly and burn them. Because you're drinking the wine doesn't come back, right? So I'm not sure I call this a hobby. Maybe an obsession. A lot of us would call it an obsession, I think. But this is why. That is spectacular. There's so much going on. I think there's as much going on the palate as on the nose. Black fruit, plum, cassis, red raspberry. There's like a hint of smokiness on the mid palate. There's white pepper. It's a little more subtle than black pepper on the palate. There's a bit of black olive. You know, at 5 years old, this is so young still. Chateauneuf-du-Pape? No, yeah. You haven't graduated to the good stuff yet, sweetheart. Oh man, this is just... So what did I say, 40 minutes of decanting after aeration? 45 minutes or so by now? Yeah. Why am I doing these videos? I'm going to recommend some good wines to you. Do I recommend this one? Yes. Go now, stop watching this video, go buy some of this. Especially if you've got a cellar to keep it in. Because I think this is going to be, I mean, a lot of the pundits said, like, drink 2020 to 2040. And I think it'll go at least that long. These beautiful Southern Rhones can go 40 years. I think this will be spectacular when the taste after. Actually, wine.com right now, you can actually buy the 81 Chateau de Beaucastel. 81. I think it was $279 US. It's a lot of money, but 81. I mean, when you get to, what's that? 41 years old now, right? When you get to try a 41-year-old Chateauneuf-du-Pape, it's kind of tempting. What I was getting at. Yay. So yeah, wine number one, not so much. Wine number two, absolutely fantastic. Let's, I'm gonna go open and drink this for the next couple hours. Maybe I'll even give the wife, that'll be her glass, we'll give her that much. She can have a little bit of that, and we'll see what's next. Come on, guest cat. Okay, for wine number three, this is a bit of a rarity, a Checkmate Chardonnay that I haven't tried before. So actually, I haven't opened it yet because I wanted to show you guys something interesting. I was reading an article in one of the wine magazines just the other day about how the foil that almost all wineries put on their bottles is kind of becoming obsolete. It doesn't really serve much purpose anymore except what people expect. Technology's made it kind of obsolete. So here we go. Checkmate has never used foil in the bottles, and it obviously doesn't tamper with the quality of the wine, because these are, I would say, the best Chardonnays in BC, and certainly the most expensive. This particular bottle is $95. 2016 Queen's Advantage from Checkmate. Now, we've been Wine Club members for quite a while, so from time to time there'll be us that we haven't actually had a chance to taste at the winery. And as far as my notes go, I've actually never had a single bottle of any years of Queen's Advantage. I'm not really sure why, because we've had a lot of Checkmate wine. So this is the third and final bottle in this video. If I don't love this, I'll be stunned, but you never know, right? They're all different, so let's find out. Ooh, nice golden hue. Very nice. Stone fruit. Peach, nectarine, apricot. Honeysuckle. These wines, this wine comes from a really gravelly site, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure about that. And from the Golden Mile Bench, of course. I don't think this one's heavily oaked. And there's not a whole lot of oaky characteristics on it. A little bit, just a hint of vanilla maybe, but not much. Okay, let's dive in and see. I'm sure this will be, it's going to be delicious. It's going to be delicious, but how delicious? Is it going to be worth $95? Is it going to be in the upper echelon of Checkmate's great wines? We'll see. Ooh. Be good cat, of course not. Yeah, that's good. Wow. Stone fruit all day. Peach and apricot. There's like a almost like a sweet orange or a tangerine or something. Maybe like a, almost like orange marmalade. Like a not particularly overly sweet orange marmalade in the palate. Yeah, that's delicious. There's like a subtle hint of like a butterscotch on the mid palate and through the finish. Finish is long, a lot of minerality, which I would assume comes from the gravelly soil. It's still finishing. Really nice long finish. Yeah. So, if you guys watch my channel, you know that my favorite Chardonnays are. I like the butter bombs. I like subtle. Like I don't want the ones that are, you know, the ABC crowd from California in the 90s. But I do like oak Chardonnay, and this one is very lightly oaked. Doesn't have a lot of those characteristics. Not a lot of baking spices, vanilla, a little bit of butterscotch, and then you get a hint of vanilla in those, but not a ton. But if you happen to be one of the people that doesn't like buttery Chardonnays, you're gonna love this. 2016, yeah. So we're 6 years old here. It's got. I mean, it's still a baby. It's got. I bet it's got a decade of life in it, maybe more. One of the funny things about a winery like this, they haven't been around that long, right? So, how long do their wines last? Well, we can kind of guess. You know, they're well made. You can kind of guess from the soil that maybe you'll get 15 years out of these. You don't know that because it hadn't been 15 years of vintages. But this one's nowhere near peaking. Yeah, wow. So, is that my favorite Checkmate Chardonnay? No. Because it's not oaky enough for me. It's beautifully made. Lovely long finish. It's going to remind you a little bit of a Chablis, you know, lightly oaked. More stone fruit than citrus, but still, just a lovely, lovely bottle of wine. So I highly recommend it. You know, if you're like me and you love the butter bombs, you like the really oaky wines, I wouldn't pay $95 for this. Get one of the oakier Checkmate wines. You can't go wrong with Checkmate. I know it's expensive, but they're worth it. So, but if you're one that doesn't care for the really buttery Chardonnays, Queen's Advantage 2016. I'm sure other vintages are similar, because I think even though you know, vintage over vintage, the grapes are going to be different. Obviously, the terroir is different, and all that. The winemaking, I don't think, changes. So I mean, it's not like next year's is going to be big and oaky. So you probably, Queen's Advantage might be a really good individual wine for you to purchase if you're one of those who doesn't love big buttery Chardonnays. But it's delicious, and I'm going to thoroughly enjoy drinking this today. Oh, look at all the sediment almost. I mean, it's just a glass. From the sediment, I just poured the thing. So anyway, it's delicious. You're going to probably thoroughly enjoy this. So, what do you think, guest cat? Look at those big eyes, eh? You've been a pretty good girl today. You haven't pooped on the floor or anything like that, so we appreciate that today. Right? Huh? Doing okay? You know, you can get an executive producer credit because I'm sad that you're not doing so well. Yes, good girl. All right. So that is it for today, everybody. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please take a minute to like and subscribe to this video if you can. It helps the channel out a lot. And don't forget, drink great wine. See you next time. Thanks.